world today. An artillery barrage on a European city, a civilian population ordered to flee their homes. War and occupation are no longer distant threats. They are the driving force of our century. With every conflict, the consequences spill across borders in the relentless tide of forced migration. This movement of millions is not a series of accidents. It is a direct symptom of a global order fracturing under immense pressure. So, we will analyze this crisis not just as a human tragedy, but as a political phenomenon that exposes the deep failure of collective security and threatens the entire global systems. To understand this, we must look at the political drivers with two critical cases. First, Ukraine. The full-scale Russian invasion is a textbook challenge to the global order, a direct violation of another state's sovereignty. The result? The fastest forced displacement in Europe since World War II. This isn't just a theoretical. As of early 2025, the International Organization for Migration, or IOM, reported that millions of people remained internally displaced inside Ukraine caused by direct military objectives. This created a massive immigration shock, posing a novel foreign policy and security challenge for the European Union. The next case is Gaza. Here we see a different but equally devastating geopolitical event, forced migration under military occupation and siege. A 2024 study by Proctor described this as mobility under siege. It is not a classical internal collapse, but the result of external military action. Press releases from the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights in 2025 expressed deep concerns about repeated evacuation orders and attacks on civilians, warning that this action contribute to the forced displacement of Palestinians. According to the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East, or UNRWA, situation report from this period, a staggering over 1.7 million people, which is more than 75% of the population, were estimated to be displaced, many of them multiple times. Human Rights Watch report graphically titled it "Hopeless, Starving, and Besieged." In the world of politics, there is no single government that enforces the rules. For a person foreseen to migrate, this abstract theory is a terrifying reality. Let's reevaluate the push-pull framework through this political lens. The push is the ultimate failure of a state or international system to guarantee a person's most basic right, which is security. For Ukrainians, the push is their government's inability to protect them from a foreign invasion. For Palestinians in Gaza, the push is the direct military pressure and unlivable conditions created by another state, with no sovereign entity able to protect them. The pull, then, is a desperate search for a functioning, safe territory for their survival. For Ukrainians, the pull factors on neighboring countries where the rules of law exist. But for Palestinians in the Gaza, the pull is almost non-existent. They are trapped in what has been described as an open-air prison, where the freedom to move, to seek refuge, is severely restricted. This lack of a pull factor makes the crisis even more acute and highlights the catastrophic breakdown of the system. Into this reality, step crucial actors like the IOM in Ukraine and UNRWA for the Palestinians. They are not governments, but they try to create predictability and provide aid. By tracking displacement numbers and distributing food and shelter, they provide the vital intelligence and support in situations where state protection has vanished. This brings us to the ultimate question: why can't our system of global governance solve this crisis? The answer is fraught with political obstacles. Management happens through a patchwork of national interests. We see European states making sovereign decisions to accept millions of Ukrainians, creating what one 2024 study called different contexts of reception. Yet, even this response is uneven and overwhelms national systems. In striking contrast, the displacement of Palestinians is met with deep international division and political paralysis, severely limiting aid and preventing any durable solutions. This reveals the core obstacles. First, the primacy of national interest. Alliances and political priorities dictates the response. A country's reaction to refugees from Ukraine can be vastly different from its reaction to refugees from Palestine. Second, the sovereignty dilemma. International organizations can report, persuade, and condemn, as what OHCHR does regarding Gaza, but they cannot compel powerful states to change their policies. The final decision rests with individual countries, leading to a fragmented and often unjust global response. Finally, the sheer scale of this political crisis is overwhelming the system. Global institutions are struggling to cope with the rushing effects of a major European war and a protracted, high-intensity conflict in the Middle East all at once. With that being said, the international migration crisis is far more than a collection of human tragedies. It is a defining symptom of a volatile and dangerous shift in international relations. It reflects the brutal consequences of a world where state aggression and the dynamics of a long-term occupation are on the rise, and our institutions are being tested like never before. Addressing this crisis requires more than just humanitarian aid. It demands a renewed focus on international diplomacy and accountability under international law, because the only lasting solutions to forced migration is the political will to prevent the conflicts that ignite in the very first place.